What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? How are we doing? Today's video for you is going to be a push session explained. So there is a reason why I do pretty much everything. Exercise order, exercise selection, the way I execute the exercise, everything, there is a reason, and I'm going to go through that with you in today's video. First I want to address something. TikTok. So if you are a young person watching this or someone who's new to the gym, TikTok is a very dangerous place, you see. To young, impressionable people with not much knowledge on training, they will believe absolutely anything. And there is a lot of people on TikTok who take advantage of this. I've had a few arguments now with people in the comment section on TikTok because they're putting out the wrong information and then you call them out for it and they're not happy with it. And all the little fanboys come running to the defence, even though the little fanboys don't actually know what they're talking about, they're just defending anything they say. I'll actually get one example up for you. So this is the guy. There you go. So that guy, essentially what he was saying on his video was that carbs are the devil. You should eat lots of protein, kind of stay away from carbs because carbs will make you skinny fat. Apparently, according to him, this is false, by the way. So I called him out for it, and he decided to do a reply to my video. And what did he put? He basically said that he went from this skinny-looking thing to I haven't got the picture of, basically he's a pretty big guy. He's saying that throughout that entire time he stayed away from carbs, he wasn't in a calorie surplus, and he got from there to there. So although his thought process is that although he got from, I don't know how much he weighed, he's probably about 70 kilos, something like that, to the size he was probably about 90 kilos. He's trying to say that he got there without being in a calorie surplus. And in his bio claims that he's a science geek. Now, this is literally the fundamentals of science. The very, very basics is what you learn about energy, is when you learn about energy balance. Energy balance dictates your weight. If you are in a calorie surplus, you gain weight. If you're in a calorie deficit, you lose weight. And this guy's trying to claim he went from there to there without being in a calorie surplus and claiming to be a science geek. So if you are on TikTok, a word of warning for you: take everything you see with a pinch of salt. I'm considering starting TikTok myself because I've seen so much shit information out there. So if you see me start a TikTok, give it a follow. Anyway, onto the video. I will give you a little introduction into the way I train. So the style of training I do is low volume, high intensity training. So this consists of a top set and a back off set on most exercises, rather than 3 or 4 straight sets, which most people usually do. This, I believe, was first originally brought to the table. So he started this style of training where you do a top set, so a heavy set of between 6 to 9 reps, and then a back off set where you lower the weight and do between 10 to 15 reps. Now, the reason I choose to do this training style is because genuinely I just enjoy it, rather than just 3 or 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps, the hypertrophy rep range. There is no hypertrophy rep range. It's been shown that you can gain muscle from 5 reps all the way up to 30, 40 reps. You can still gain muscle. The determining factor of whether you gain muscle is your proximity to failure. So if you're going close to failure, so if you're doing 30 reps and on that 30th rep you are reaching muscular failure, you'll grow muscle. There is no hypertrophy rep range. I do think this style of training doesn't suit everyone because, one, a lot of people don't know how to take a exercise to complete muscular failure. It's a skill, essentially, to be able to take a exercise to complete muscular failure without your form breaking down or without injuring yourself. And 2, personality types. So not everyone will suit this style of training because some people just like going in the gym and throwing some weight around, drinking a protein shake and going home. You know, this is hardcore shit basically. Now, I'm not Dorian Yates, however I like to think I do possess the skill to take a exercise somewhat close to failure. So, first exercise is a crucifix lateral raise. The reason I put this first is because my side delts in general need bringing up. So, priority principle, you put the muscle groups which you need to bring up first, put more energy into those before you fatigue. So, what I'm thinking about with this exercise is I'm bringing my arm out like you would in a normal lateral raise first, and then I'm externally rotating at the top. This will fully shorten that medial delt. And the way I've set the bench up at that 30-degree angle, this means that the resistance profile is more congruent with the strength profile of the side delt. So the side delt, the shorter it gets, the weaker it gets, so you're stronger at the bottom. And this resistance profile, how I've set it up with the bench like that, and you need to set up the cables in line with where your wrists would be if you lay them out in front of you. You can actually see on the back off set where it drops off, because you'll see my arm I'll struggle, and my arm will then accelerate until it's fully short. That was the top set, and now here comes my back off set. I don't think you can tell from the video, but I can tell because I did the set myself, but you can tell when it drops off. You can see my arm accelerates towards the top of that rep when the weight drops off slightly. And we've got the bench there, so just something to push up against. So a dumbbell lateral raise would be the complete opposite. So the dumbbell is the heaviest at the top. So when you're here, that's when the dumbbell's heaviest. That moment arm is long. Here's the axis of the shoulder. This is your moment arm. There, line of force is straight down the axis, and then at the bottom you've got basically no resistance, which is where we'd actually be strongest. And then as you go up, the resistance gets more and more as the delt gets weaker. So that's not as optimal as an exercise like this would be. So if you don't already do these, I'd definitely consider putting them in. Next up is cuffed cable fly. So got this in there. It feels amazing. It's so much better than normal cable flies where you'd hold a D handle or any machine. It's going to put less force through that shoulder, less torque, which is going to be great for your shoulders really. Going to mean that you can lift for longer, less chance of getting injuries because you're reducing that moment arm. So by putting the cuff here rather than holding it in your arm, that moment arm shorter, less torque on the shoulder joints. All I'm thinking about here is bringing my elbows together, and the contraction on these are absolutely unbelievable. This is my top set. Go on, son. I've got a plate on the front and the back, because if I didn't, then the bench literally just tips up. Now the reason I put this at the start of the workout is because basically as we progress throughout a workout, our central nervous system becomes more and more fatigued, so that ability to fully shorten a muscle, if you were to do this exercise after you've just obliterated a push workout, you will not be able to get that pec fully short. So we place this at the start of a workout to fully overload the shortened range of the pec. We want to challenge all contractile ranges of the muscle. So if you're doing something like a bench press or a dumbbell press, there's no resistance when you're here, is there? All the resistance is at the bottom in the lengthened range, and this is when we're weakest. We're strongest in the shortened range on a pushing exercise. So it makes sense to overload the shortened range as well as the lengthened range. Moved on to incline dumbbell press. Now this is my top set, 35 kilos I think, yeah, 35 kilos. Got Ed, spotter in the background there. This is my first time doing these in, I can't remember the last time I did these, so 35, it's not bad. Pretty weak for me, I'd say anyway. Could definitely go heavier if you give me a couple of weeks. Shaky arms. Now all I'm thinking about with this, again, I'm I'm not thinking about pressing up. A lot of people, when they're pressing, they press up. You're thinking about just bringing your elbows together. And another thing is, a lot of people go way too deep on this, you know, touching the shoulder. There's no need for that. You're going to put more stress on your shoulder joints than just... Don't take your arm past your midline, so don't let your arm go past your body, else you're just putting excess stress on that shoulder joint. And we want to be lifting for a long time, don't we? We don't want to have shoulder issues, because trust me, once you have a shoulder issue, once you have an injury, you're stuffed. No more building muscle for you. You'll be stuffed, basically. So this is me back off. I think I dropped all the way down to 25 because, well, my chest was fatigued, let's just say that, from the chest flies. This was my first push workout back, so obviously my chest isn't used to doing this much volume. It's used to just doing incline pressing, and that's about it in the shed. Moved on to next a shoulder press. Now, the reason I'm not doing a dumbbell overhead press is because the energy it requires to stabilise a dumbbell, you know, the small muscle groups you need to stabilise that dumbbell and keep it in place, I've basically just used all that energy to press the dumbbell there. So I've opted for the machine overhead press instead of an incline or high incline dumbbell press, which I would usually do for shoulders. This is also an exercise I'm doing for the first time in a long time. I haven't done these in ages. And what I'm thinking about here is, again, any pushing movement, you're thinking about elbows together. I'm pushing overhead, I'm thinking elbows together. I'm thinking about this shoulder touching my ear. No, I'm not actually touching my ear with it, but you're thinking about it. That's the cue. And keeping those elbows flared rather than in. If you bring those elbows in, it's going to be way more tricep. Keep them out, more anterior delt. I'm also pushing through my feet to create full body tension throughout that entire body. And bracing is so important. A lot of people underestimate how important breathing and bracing is. So before every rep, hold that breath in and then release at the top. I then moved on to tricep dips. So these are focused on the tricep. Creating as much flexion in that elbow as possible. Staying more upright. If you were to want to focus on the chest and the shoulders more for these, you'd lean more. I'm trying to stay upright with these to get more flexion in that elbow. These reps are pretty fast, to be fair, because I've just done a set before with a dumbbell between my legs, 15 kg dumbbell, but I'm not sure where the footage for that has gone. Mustn't suppress record. And then moved on to a lateral raise. Now I've got two lateral raise movements in my program. Reason for this being is I want to bring up my delts. So simply add more volume to that muscle group and it should grow. More effective volume, should I say, because a lot of people, they add volume to a muscle group and they perform the exercises awfully. It ends up going from effective volume into junk volume. There's a difference. Junk volume, you're basically just adding more and more fatigue to your body without actually stimulating more hypertrophy. Effective volume, you are stimulating more hypertrophy. Lateral raise with this, I'm thinking about my elbows, my arm, sorry, going out and then up, rather than just thinking about yanking the weight up and just end up basically shrugging it. And as you can see also, I'm not holding onto the handles. My arm is slightly in front of my body. Now if you were to put your arm directly to the side, what you'll notice is it jams. You can't go any further. However, bring your arm forward, you've got a full range of motion. You can fully shorten that side delt. So if you're ever using a machine like this, put your arm slightly in front of you, not directly to the side. Same with dumbbell lateral raises. Don't do them directly up to the side, slightly in front and lean slightly forward as well. And finally, I've done my tricep dip, so now I'm just doing a tricep extension. I'm using my cuffs for this. Just takes out the need for a grip strength. So your grip strength could be potentially a limiting factor to you progressing your tricep push down. So by using a cuff, you're taking that away, and also it just feels amazing. Now what you're thinking about this is basically pushing perfectly in line with the elbow joint. So a lot of people, if you were to press with a bar, you are fixed, your wrists are fixed, and you are stuck pressing like this. Use cables. If you haven't got cuffs like this, then you can basically just get a rope and move it so it's long rather than you've got two sides, you've got one side. I'd do in single arm and just push down. It's going to be a lot better for your elbow joint than pressing with a bar like this. It's going to be awful for your elbows and not much stimulation for the triceps. You can see my shoulders stay fixed and the only thing that's moving is my elbow. My elbow is flexing and pushing down again. My shoulder and my scapula are fixed in place. So hopefully that's been helpful for you, me going through explaining the reasoning behind everything I do, why I do it, the reason I put things in certain orders. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comment section and I'll answer them for you as best I can. Like the video, subscribe for more videos, they will be coming weekly, and see you later, people.